Good morning everyone, welcome to my weekly outlook. We're going to start off here on the monthly as always. So let's quickly go through the monthly price action. Right, just a quick recap of what's got us here and what I'm expecting from this time frame. Of course we have our bullish leg from this low to this high. Right, I've pointed out the discount here which is below the 0.5 equilibrium area. Price created this bullish leg and we came into a bearish imbalance and order block here. So as you can see, price created that high test doji candle, taking buy side liquidity from previous months and these previous months here into the imbalance. So it looks like we're starting to form a top here. So my outlook is still expecting price to possibly pull back to a discount, right? Where we have this open bullish imbalance and this BPR here with this bullish imbalance and bearish imbalance, which are crossing over each other, okay, in this same zone here in this discount. So it's natural for price, once it takes buy side liquidity obviously and hits an opposing PDA or POI, to pull back down to this zone. Now we do expect this to take a long time if it does happen, so nothing immediate, but I do expect the monthly to have some sort of bearish push towards this zone here, and in the meantime of course we target those previous monthly lows along the way. So I think that's enough for the monthly. Just bear in mind that the long-term vision is for it to pull back. So let's have a look at the weekly. So for the weekly, it remains unclear. It's been unclear for a while. You can see my note here. Weekly remains within bullish structure. So what we have here is the dealing range low and the dealing range high. So all this time we haven't broken this structure here to present any sort of bearish structure just yet. In line with that monthly goal, which is down here, the monthly draws on liquidity, which is that imbalance and BPR, right, within its discount. Initially we created this high test candle here which looked really good, taking the buy side liquidity, entering that bearish imbalance, and then price began to move bearish again. However, we seem to have hit some sort of support here and price is now for 3 weeks in a row printing bullish candles. Right, so we'll see how price does, and when I say it remains unclear, however, its price action remains unclear, indecisive to me, right, because we're within this range. We're just going sideways around this bullish imbalance that we had, which we was kind of using as support and then resistance, but now we've broken above again. So the weekly doesn't have any clear POIs or PDAs for me, or anything to see price form as a resistance or even the support that we had here, but we are still within that bullish dealing range. So maybe we expect bullish price action to continue, but like I said, it's indecisive to me, so I'm a bit neutral for the weekly time frame and I'll just focus on where the daily takes us. Now if we are to move bearish, then we have this sort of swing low area here, which is the most obvious low, which is that November sell side liquidity. So in terms of the weekly, that would be a good target, and then of course the dealing range low, but I'm not going to concentrate too much on those. As I said, the weekly is not clear for me, so we'll go down to the daily. We'll see what the daily looks like for us. So there's a lot more to explain and look at here on the daily. If you haven't seen my previous videos, then go through those for an explanation of all of the price action. But just briefly, we had what looked like a market maker sell model here, right, with this August low as the draw on liquidity for our incomplete market maker sell model. So now we're saying incomplete. Well, we had SMC with DXY, or SMT with this low, which was our target low. DXY made that target, so that may be part of the reason why we are now seeing this possible bullish play here, right, because this low was already tagged by DXY, and once we hit these BPRs here, price seems to have reversed and we're showing those early bullish signs. So what does that mean? Well, potentially now with the daily aligned with the weekly, because the weekly was still within that bullish order flow and bullish structure, we're potentially going to move into a market maker buy model. Now with this being our target here from September's high, potential market maker buy model draw on liquidity. Okay, so the same line through the middle here from our low point. We've seen price now show that first sign of bullish order flow momentum because we broke above this high, retested this bullish imbalance here, respected it, and went on to make a new high. So we have now seen this small high here been broken, make another high. Now what I'd like to see to confirm that is for us to pull back down to this zone here and reject this zone, right, and start to make our moves towards this previous weekly high, if it's still there, of course, or whatever high we create before then. So I hope that's clear. If anything, just go through some of my old videos. I'll explain this market maker buy model as we go through it. But let's look at these lows here. We seem to have found a possible low, right? Price created this low in this bullish BPR, created a high, pulled back, met another BPR within that same zone, and then created another high again. Where respecting order flow, we had this bearish imbalance, which was broken above and then retested. So now we see it as an inverse fair value gap there, and then price retested that with this nice low test wick here and went on to create further highs and bullish behavior. Right, so we're respecting bullish imbalances now and inverted fair value gaps, which gives us order flow. Now at the high we've currently created, we do have a SMT or SMC, whichever one you say. So we have our bullish leg with our discount here. So from this low to this high is our bullish dealing range. Price may be drawn back down to the discount here, where we have an order block, a nice good order block here with imbalance, right? We have an imbalance below us here, so beware of below our previous daily low. We may see some sort of reaction here. Price can respect it, but I expect it to come to the discount, right? This would be the best area to continue our longs from. So you can see from my annotation here, we may be pulled back down to this zone as a draw on liquidity. I'm currently neutral / bearish on the daily, you know, just for the short term. Neutral as I expect a pullback, so I'll stay in a neutral zone, but bullish overall. And we are more aligned now with the weekly's structure and order flow, as it didn't break into a bearish order flow. So that's good, that's on our side. So I do think we look good for bullish continuations. However, at the moment, I may be in a short-term scalping environment where I target some internal lows back down into this zone and then reevaluate what price does. So I think the daily is really clear. Price looks to be targeting these previous highs and of course the internal and external highs we create while we're doing our pullbacks. All right, previous weekly high looks like a good target now, but we may take that out first. We will see we may need that buy side liquidity above our previous daily high or previous weekly high before we pull back. We'll see more of that on a lower time frame. So in saying that, let's go down to the 4 hour, see what that looks like. So here on the 4 hour, briefly, you can just see how we're respecting that bullish order flow. We've been doing that for a while. I haven't added in the annotations that were previously there, as that price action's not as relevant anymore. But just in our previous leg here, you can see we had this dealing range low to the high. Price pulled back very correctively into our imbalance here, which is also that daily imbalance. Right, we were sweeping liquidity, closing with nice low test candles right into our order block here, and then price waited for Wednesday, right, with our high impact news, and took out this entire sell side curve here with this buy side curve, taking out that high, and then we've gone on to create this new bullish leg from this low to this high. Right, last week on Friday, of course, we had a small pullback into this bullish imbalance here on the 4 hour, and we had a small bullish move from there, but it died out and we didn't complete the pattern, taking out that Thursday high. So where are we now? Price is kind of floating between the previous daily high and previous daily low. As you can see from my annotation here, it's possible that we come up above the previous daily high or previous weekly high before we get that larger pullback towards this daily imbalance zone here. Right, that's what I'll be looking at for the week, or we could potentially just pull back from here, leaving these targets for us to target. Right, so I think the clear bullish order flow respecting these bullish PDAs, but now with the daily high time frame having discount POIs or PDAs below us, price is probably due that pullback, which again is why I'm a bit more neutral on the daily. However, in the short term for the lower time frames, I do believe we could still come up and take these highs, this buy side liquidity to sponsor that move down first. We'll have to see what the other lower time frames look like in order to follow that bias, right? So a bit more of a scalping environment until we're aligned with the daily, maybe down here. We also have that daily imbalance zone below this previous daily low to look out for reactions from as well. So let's go down to the 1 hour. Let's see what that looks like. Again, on the 1 hour now, you can see how we are in more of a consolidation, right, since Thursday into Friday, where price is between this bullish imbalance here on the 1 hour and 4 hour, and this bearish imbalance here on the 1 hour as well. Right, so price stayed between this zone here Again, we have a draw on price below here for the daily, but we have buy side liquidity targets above as well, which may sponsor the move. As you can see, we have SMC here as well. So previous daily high, which would be previous daily low on DXY, has already been taken out. So price may not need to come up and take this previous daily high. We may start to break down from here, target that previous daily low, right, and the London session low here, right, as our short-term targets, and then move towards that daily imbalance, again expecting some reaction below this previous daily low, right, which may hold price here until later in the week. So consolidation here, nothing clear, but we have buy side and sell side liquidity below us, but we may not come for this buy side liquidity anymore because we have that SMT with DXY. So this previous weekly high may remain for us to target once we pull back down into this zone, or even this daily imbalance just below us here. So let's check out the M15 and see what that means for today's trading. All right, so the M15, again, you can sort of see this consolidation. Price isn't going anywhere between these two bullish and bearish POIs here. Within that consolidation, price is taking out the Asia range low during London and then going to target Asia range high, which is typical. That's where we've got our SMT with DXY. So price may fail to come for this previous daily high and this previous weekly high, and we may start to see a breakdown. We do have some bullish POIs here to see how price reacts from. As I've said here on the right hand side, on the M15, I don't yet have the order flow to be decisive about today's direction yet. The daily discount POI is below, or the buy side liquidity above before that pullback, right? We've only had this bullish leg here created today for EU on this M15, so we'd have to see if price respects this and wants to continue going higher before thinking of targeting previous weekly highs or anything. Bearing in mind, previous daily high may reverse price as well, so we don't have much room to maneuver for the buys here, in my opinion, but we'll see how that plays out. If price does begin to break down below these lows, below these POIs here, that would be cool. If price was to break down, retest against them, and then start coming for previous daily lows, etc. Again down, then going for that daily zone here. But for today, I think the previous daily high, previous daily low are probably the main draws on liquidity. I'll see. I don't have big expectations for today. I'll see what it's like to target, or if price wants to continue its momentum. But remember, we have a daily imbalance below the previous daily low as well. So price could then have a bullish reaction from there. So selling into it may not be a good idea. If there was an SMT as well here, we could use these zones here to go long for the previous daily high. But there is SMT, DXY has made that zone there already. So nothing super clear for today, but if we do get some M15 order flow, maybe if we get a nice rejection of this zone and then the execution time frames show it's building bullish order flow, it may be worth heading again for these highs. I'll have to see when that happens. I can't give any predictions there at the moment, but that does look viable for today as a possibility. So just back up to the daily to remind us of our bigger vision, right? I'm neutral at this point. Price may use the buy side liquidity above the previous daily high or zone here and begin to pull back. So for the rest of the week, I'll be looking for that possible pullback into this zone here to then continue this potential market maker buy model up until here. Reevaluate price down here if it rejects and then starts to bring in order flow on the lower time frame. So I hope that's clear. Any questions, just let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next week.